Hi everyone, this is Deborah, welcome back, and today I'm going to make a little pouch or two to put in my drawer. Now I'll show you what I mean. So I've been cleaning up my top drawer of this big bench that I stand at, and I've put my little zipper pulls into this little itty bitty pouch I made. So I thought that I'd like to make some more, but perhaps slightly bigger than this one. Not bigger in height, so this is a 3-inch in height, but bigger overall. So that's what I thought I'd do today and take you along with me. So we'll get going. And this fabric I'm using is just the stuff I got from the charity shop. I mean, I'm not going to use anything super expensive to do this sort of thing. I may change my mind and not want them at some point, but I do want it to work. So I'm thinking that if I did a 10-inch square, actually maybe I'll do an 11-inch square. Oh, hang on. I'm just trying to work it out. So whatever the box corners are will be the height. So the box corners will be 3 inches, and that will leave me, if I do 10, it'll leave me a 4-inch in the center. So I'm going to do 11, which should give me 5 inches of width and still the 3 inches in height. So I'm just going to see about doing this. Now the other thing I just realized is I'm working on the fold here, so therefore I'm going to have to trim that down too. Let's just do this first bit. I'm also cutting through 2 layers at the one time. Just pull that down, and what did I say, 11? Forgotten already. Yeah, 11 inches. So let's do this at 11 inches. It may be easier if I'd cut sort of a rough square, and then I could have done this one out of that, but I haven't done that, so never mind. Now we need 2 pieces, one for the back and one for the front, or one from the inside and one for the outside. You could make them in different colours, but as I said, I just want to use up this fabric. Now to cut at the fold, I'm just going to do a little tiny cut there, and that should give me, all being well, 2 pieces. This is just a cotton fabric. I got it at the charity shop. And it's pretty good. It's not too bad. Now I think that that is very crooked. So let's try and remeasure that, shall we? I'm just going to put that on there and cut. Actually, it's the other way. Oh no, that's right. My numbers were up the right way on this end. I was looking at the numbers at the top, but they're actually down on the bottom here as well. So if I do that, that's not quite 11 inches. But I do need it to be straight at the same time. So let's use that. Oh no, I might need a new blade. This seems to be having trouble getting through there. And then for this one, we'll put it over on the edge. I rarely use my mat, the markings on a mat to cut with. I don't know why, I just don't do it that much. But in this instance I am. So I think we're about 10 3/4 inches there. So there's my 2 10 by 10s. Oh, sorry, 11 by 11. Whatever you want to call it, there's a square. Now I have some batting. Batting's fine to use in these. You could use interfacing as well. I just need to cut it down to the size of my square. This is a round piece that I was playing with, doing something that I never ended up doing, but it's a good time to use up these sort of scraps. I keep my scraps so that I can use them for little projects like this. You can also use the scraps to stuff little things that you're making. So they make quite good filling. And if you're worried about the big chunk, what I do is put it on the board and just chop them up with the rotary cutter into little bits. and that way I have good stuffing. Now you could also cut this down so it's smaller than your square if you're worried about the bulk in the seam allowance. I'm not going to do that though, I'm just going to leave it as is. Now this is the important part. I need to cut this down so it is, I'll just get a pen I think for this one. Hopefully I'll be able to see this. This one is 3 by 3. So I just find my 3-inch mark, because this will give me the boxed corner. I'm just going to mark them all first and then use the scissors to cut them with. Is that 3? I think I made that. Oh no, that's 3. That looked bigger for some reason. Now I'll cut all the layers at once based on that top marker. Now what you do is take the thing, this is very fluffy batting and the tops come off for some reason. I don't know why, but I'll put that in the bin. I've never had that happen before, so it's always the first time, I guess. And then lay the batting in the middle. So you want, first of all, to sew your seams up like this. So you put that there like that, so that your tops match. And I'm just going to clip that. And then you go around to the next one and you go around the 4 edges like that and sew it. And you do the same for the lining. Now you've got all 4 like that, and then you do the same for this bit, and then you sew them, and you sew them from, match the tops up, sew them from here to here on all 4 sides. I don't usually pin or clip this one by itself. I only clip the one that's got the 2 layers. So I'll go and do that and I'll be back. Now, once you've done that, trim them down. Of course, also just check that you've caught them all, because it's a bit hard with the batting there to see if it's all been caught, but luckily I have. And I do my seam allowance, I don't use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. It's probably more like 3/8 of an inch. So somewhere between a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch. It's wherever I feel comfortable sewing. It's sort of like the foot of my machine, whatever machine I'm using at the time, kind of dictates where I'm doing my seam allowance, which is probably not correct, but it's the way that I've been sewing forever. So it's a bit hard to change now. And I didn't start off as a quilter. So normally you would do a 1 centimetre seam allowance when you sewed. But, you know, then I switched to quilting and it's all 1/4 inch. And, you know, even now I find it hard to do that. Although I do have a setting on my machine which allows me to do a 1/4 inch scant quarter accurately. You need to put right sides together now. So we'll turn them into the right side so that this one, so it can go into the center. And then what you do is you take your 4 corners, and you match them up so that they are together. And you just go around and match all your 4 corners. Don't worry about matching anything else. Let's trim that because I've missed it. And if you want to, you can open that seam up to distribute your batting a bit better. This batting's not that heavy, but if you're using something heavy, especially if you're using like a foam, I have made these with fusible foam, and you do need to open that seam out to distribute the bulk. So we'll just put these, and then the last one. Now you go and sew around it again, but you need to leave a gap for turning out. So don't forget to do that. I usually leave a gap like across one of these. That will be fine, and then I can turn it all out. So I'll just go and sew around the top. When you're sewing, you just, because you've matched your seams up, you just kind of tug it and it will fall into place. You make sure that's in properly, and if you tug it, it will match up perfectly, or it should. And I've done that now. Now you could also trim that seam allowance away if you want to. I'm not going to do that, I'll just leave it, it'll be fine. I've back tacked on the beginning and the end so that when I go like this, it doesn't all start to fall apart. And now's the time to bring it all to the right side. So if you just gently push it in, you'll be able to grab it. Even though the opening is quite small, you can do a larger opening if you want. I just find it easier to make sure that where the seams are, it's sewn down there before I pull it out. That's just personal preference. And don't pull it again like that, like I just did, because I pulled it all back in again. Here we go, it's coming now. You do need to give it a little tug here and there and just be patient while you're pulling it through. At some point it'll just start to come really well and easily out through that gap. Okay, now we have to sort out what we've got. So the first thing I'm going to do is to press it. So I can feel that this is the outside because that's got the batting on it, or whatever side you want really, but I use the one with the batting on it as the outside. And this is the inside. So I'm just going to poke it all in. Also going to use my chopstick to push it out. I'll just find that gap again. Here it is. And I'll just push those corners out to make sure they're well poked out. You can use a point turning tool, or a paper scorer works well, but I've just got the chopstick today. That's what was handy. Now I'm going to give it a really good press. So I've gone through and I've turned all of that over and just rolled it like this and then pressed it. And where the opening is here, I'll now go and sew all around the top with just a top stitch to close that opening up. But if you press it out, make sure you sort of roll that so that you get the full expanse. Now, because I've used a quilt batting, it's not going to sit in a perfect box like that. You should never expect it to. I mean, the bottom bit's fine. It's in a square, but the top bit will always come out like that. But that's fine. For my purposes, that's fine. I'll just go sew this down. And there you go. I've got this great little thing. I'll get the other one out. This one's a bit shorter, but that's little and it fits those things perfectly. And the things I want to put in here are my D-rings. And I do have quite a few D-rings, so it will take a lot. I mean, it's quite a big little basket for a little basket, but it fits in the drawer. I knew that if I didn't make it too tall, it will fit in the drawer and it won't get caught like on these bits when I open and close the drawer. So that was the purpose. I've got more D-rings in here. You can see how many D-rings that holds. It's, you know, not even full yet, but it's quite heavy. It's full of D-rings. And I'm going to make a few more, some for my swivel clips and my sliders and things like that. So I'm going to make a few more of these all to go in the drawer. Now, I could go and buy like this from IKEA and use that. That would be fine, but why not make your own while you can? So I wanted to see how many of these will actually fit in here. There you go. I've put the whole lot in there and it's full. So that tells you how much volume you've got in this one. When I put them back in there, I've still got room. I could put a whole heap more in. So it only took a few minutes and, you know, it's fine. So why don't you try that if you need some storage? Because I think these here are about $5 in IKEA. I can't remember. But if you've got the fabric, you've got batting scraps, then why not? You could put, you know, a double layer of batting in. As I said, you could use fusible fleece, you could use fusible foam, you could use anything. You could quilt this if you've got some old quilt blocks left over. This would be perfect for that, especially if you've got like a 10-inch quilt block or a 12-inch quilt block. But just remember that when you make them, the higher it will be, the height is determined by the box of the corner. So in my case, 3 inches and whatever else is left. So if you take 3 inches off each side of the, what do we work on? 11 inch. If you take 6 inches off that, that means this should measure about 5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it measures 4. I must have cut it a bit smaller than I thought. Oh, actually my seams are probably larger than they're meant to be. So yes, you've got to take into account your seam allowance as well. But still, that's going to work perfectly for me. I'm really happy with that. I've got another container and I can put my green IKEA thing back on the IKEA pegboard where it came from and fill it with something else. So that's all for today. Thanks very much for watching. This is Deborah. Cheers.